Alright, here we go. Cool, super cool. Bobby is in the house. We are live. What's up, 619 Helium Kenny? Good to see you guys. We got a show ahead of us. So, ripping. Thanks to both of you guys for coming on here. I know that I don't think we've seen either of you on a GK thing before. So let's do some quick intros. Hack, I'll start with you, and then I'll go to Bobby. Hack, what do you do? Why are you here?
So outside of owning a whole bunch of hotspots, I do a fair bit of sensor work. I
Yep.
do run a YouTube channel as well that try to just make getting sensors and using this network easier for people. Outside of that, I still got a regular 9 to 5 that pays the bills, and yeah, that's me.
Badass. Yeah. And I asked you to come on. I was like, dude, I don't think I can do this because I don't have all the information, all the knowledge. Bobby's going to come on. He's going to ask a bunch of good questions, and I'm sure you can help out. So thanks for coming on. Bobby, tell me about you, dude. Everybody sees the name. I don't think anyone's seen your face before except at, what is it, the Helium House, New York, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Right on. And where are you based out of?
Right now, I'm based out of Boston.
Boston. Okay. Cool. And you've been in Helium forever. I know we've all seen you on Discord and got to chat with
Yeah.
you a bunch. Tell me a little bit about how you came into it.
Well, growing up, I was a huge ham radio buff.
Okay.
And growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, I was a big CB person, ham radio.
Okay.
And I spent a lot of years deploying ham radio base stations, setups. And this helium thing was like just an absolute blessing that I could do what I love and actually make some money and help build a network for the future.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
And it just had all the earmarks. And the biggest thing too, I should add this. I always wanted to have a business with my dad. My dad's like 75 now. He's getting old. And for so many years, I always would have liked to do something. And this allowed me to, in 2019, 2020,
Yep.
to actually start a business with my dad where he's back in New York. Sometimes he'll deploy a hotspot. He's 75 years old.
Okay.
He'll go to a site and check it out. So it's pretty cool, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh, rad.
I'm also involved with Community Fi as well. We
Yeah.
do centers for food pantries and community homes and things like that.
That's rad. And then were you a professional baseball player at some
Yes.
point? Yeah.
Yeah. I was a
Cool. And
pitcher.
then you were what?
I was a pitcher,
A
left-handed
pitcher.
pitcher.
Okay. Well, I'll try not to have you throw any balls
Lefties.
at me. Yeah. Rad. And then now you're a teacher, right?
Yes.
Cool. Super cool. Well, I'm psyched to have you on. Thanks for reaching out. It's been good to chat with you. It's super good to meet you in New York. Let's get in your questions, dude. What do you got?
Who's up first?
You are, dog. Crush it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, well, one of the things I wanted to talk about that I think a lot of people are underestimating is the power of staking.
Okay.
And this VEH&T thing, I believe, will be huge.
Okay.
This, as they're calling it, land rush,
Yep.
is the nickname that they're using right now.
Yep.
I'm coming from a little bit of an MXC background too, which I
Yep.
think is kind of a failed project that is solely alive due to staking. I think the MXC project would have totally burned out, but the staking is what helps it in desperate times. It allows that token to stay alive when the worst of the worst happens, if that makes sense.
Oh, it's an interesting thing. So for folks who don't know, MXC are miners. What do they cost? A couple grand, 3 grand, something like that.
3 grand.
Yep. You plug them in. They do LoRa stuff as well? I think that's their pitch.
They're supposed to one day, but right now the only thing keeping them afloat is the staking.
Right. So you plug them in, you connect them to the internet, they do whatever radio thing they're supposed to do. But I think the catch is you only earn if you leave the money in there. If you
Yes,
pull the MXC out and then exchange it for fiat, like the
you're
machine
earning.
stops earning for what, 6 months or something?
No, it still earns. It just earns at a much lower percentage.
Yep. Okay. So staking is like a forced. It's forcing you to keep the money in there, but it's not serving any, as far as I can tell, like a useful purpose.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool. Super cool. So talk me through what you're thinking on the VH&T, and then Hack would jump in with what you got, or any comments.
Well, for me, I see this VEH&T thing being amazing. You got to
Mm-hmm.
remember, there's going to be a 3 times payout early on, meaning that if you lock up your H&T for 6 months, you're going to get like 1-to-1 VE-H&T.
Okay.
And what'll happen is, I hope I can explain this correctly.
Yeah.
We're going to be paid similar to the way the Helium security token people are paid every epoch. So let's say you stake 100 100 H&T for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get 100 VE-H&T, and that'll disintegrate over the 6 months. And every epoch you'll get paid out based on how much, on the emissions, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Kind of like Helium security token people get paid out.
Yep.
But
yeah, I've
if
paid
you
attention
stake,
to this, which is why I brought in Hack. I was like, I've just been doing
but
sensors
if you
so much.
stake,
So
but if you stake during the 7-day land rush, you'll get 3 times that. If that makes sense.
And you're staking during the land rush.
Yes. Now the 48-month is going to be a 300-to-1. Normally 48 months would be 100-to-1.
Right.
But if you do it during the 7-day, you'll get a 300-to-1 bonus, and you can roll that over at the end of the 48 months.
Okay. So what are you going to do? So you got in early. You're in 2019. You must be sitting on a pile of H&T as long as you haven't sold
Yes.
it. And what that number is, you keep that a secret as you want to keep it. What are you going to do with your H&T?
Well, my plan is I plan on doing I'm going to do 80% for the 6 month during the land rush, and then 20% I'm going to stake for 48 months. But the beauty about it is that I can roll that. I'm going to get that land rush price at the end of the 6 months. As long as you lock up during land rush, if you roll it over at the end of the 6 month or 48 month, you'll get that 3 times again, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's like a special rollover bonus, if that makes sense. Like it'll continue if you never pull it out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it'll just keep going. I haven't paid attention to it. I've just left my H&T in a validator. Who knows what that thing's doing right now? Like I haven't touched it. I've been doing these sensors so much. Cool. So you're helping me understand this. Hack, is there anything to add? I see you kind of nodding your head. So it sounds like all this is
Well, and to his credit, Bobby has done a lot more investigation on this than I have, and I've sort of been watching people, and I see him in the comments here. Siegfried, has a lot of really good knowledge about what's going on with that. I'm not sure if he's part of authoring that HIP 76, I think it was.
Yep.
But there's a lot of opportunity in the VEHNT, and that is, especially during that land rush window, and that's going to be really important. The big thing is it's locking down circulating supply, and that's how we influence, overall value. So,
which seems to me is like a non-economic dude. It's such like a bullshit way to keep the price up, but whatever. If it works, I guess it works. Siegfried saying something's not correct. What's not correct, Siegfried? Many things Bobby says. All right, well, let's get through them so we can figure out what is correct, and then we all get to the right decision together. Or at least have the same right information. If you can list them out in the chat. Yeah. And then we get to the bottom of this thing, which is that's the whole point of these shows is like, hey, let's share all of our knowledge. We all come to the same set of information, and then you can make your own decisions based on the same shared set of information. Let's see. Jason is saying, I don't think there's. I can put these in the chat, guys, so you can see them.
Yeah.
So Jason is saying, I don't think there's a subsequent rollover of the land rush bonus. It's a one-time thing in the first 7 days. And then I haven't seen Siegfried type anything up yet. So.
Yeah, and to Jason's credit, that's the one part that I hadn't heard. But again, as I said, I've watched enough of it to know that there's going to be something I want to follow up on soon. Okay. But I haven't been digging into it daily.
Got it. Here's Siegfried. So
yeah.
Land rush. You can lock during the first 7 days. You choose a duration, and after that duration, it's over. The 3x bonus is gone. Okay, is that how you understood it, Bobby, or no?
He could be. I know when they wrote the HIP, it looked like it was going to be able to be, as long as you didn't touch the money, and you kept it locked up. It looked like it would be possible. I could be wrong. They could have changed the HIP. It looked like it was able to be rolled over. Okay. But you have to lock it and not touch it. He could be wrong. I could be. Siegfried could be right.
The payout changed. Okay, cool. Sweet. All right. Yeah. So does that change your strategy, your 80-20 strategy?
No, not at all. I'm in for the long haul. I think that based on what we're seeing now with the market, with this whole Binance debacle, and again, how do you get mad at Binance? They already made that bumble with the mobile thing, right?
Right.
And as long as everything goes smoothly with this transition, I think it's going to open up a lot of doors with a lot of other exchanges,
Yeah.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's actually something to talk about because we've the three of us, and I'm pretty sure everyone in Helium has been getting or sending these messages that, hey, Binance shut down, or you can't do this anymore, you can't do it anymore. I think, you can't sell your HNT. And my first response is like, dude, were you going to sell it now anyway? Like, were you really going to sell at the bottom? Are you pissed that you can't do something you weren't going to do anyway? And then the second part is that it seems pretty likely to me by the time HNT comes back up in price to a place where I would be willing to consider selling it. And I know Amir has said he will never sell his HNT. He said you can take it out of my cold dead fingers. But if it hits 50 again, I got to tell you, I'm going to pop off. I'm going to pop off a couple HNT. I think by that time there's going to be someone who's like, oh yeah, I'll totally make money off of that as an exchange. So.
Well, and there was something earlier today that I saw in the Discord about this whole transition onto Solana opens up a number of opportunities that we no longer have to be worried about the Binances and Joe. What's the other one?
There's Binance and what was the other one? Whatever it was. We don't have to worry about any exchanges. Like, don't sweat it.
Yeah, we don't need them because it becomes the decentralized rather than centralized exchange. And I always use the analogy that a Binance exchange is like a money changer on the streets of Lebanon. They're great if you get some USD that you need to convert, but you don't walk over and say, hey, can you hang on to this for me? I'm going to come back and get it later. They're just not the people you leave it with.
Oh, that's a super good point because I'm seeing a lot of this. It's like, oh my god, all my HNT was locked up, and man, it's hard to say like, dude, I told you so, but like, get it the fuck off the exchange, man. That's not where you keep it. It's a great analogy. You don't just hand it to some dude in the street and be like, hey, can you hold on this to me for 6 months or until it goes back up? Batshit crazy. But this is, I think Neil's got this nailed. It's like Helium is a lot of people's first crypto, and they're not sure what to do. And so I'll tell you, like, this is financial advice. Fucking hold on to it. Don't touch it. Go do something else. Learn how to use a network, and then come back.
It was my first serious one. A bit prior to getting into Helium, I had bought a little of this and a little of that and was playing around, and made a complete and utter mess out of it. I'm pretty sure I lost $500 by the end of the month.
Cheap education.
And, and when it came to Helium, I just sit on it all. I've moved it around. I threw it into a partial staking, and I knew the risk in that. And it's all still sitting in my wallet. The only ever I've used, the only Helium that I ever used was to buy those stupid golden tickets that SenseCap was doing at the beginning of their sale, and I replenished that afterwards. So.
I like it. What do you got, Bobby? Looks like your stream's a little bit behind. Am I missing something?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try to fix that up.
Yep.
I'm with you guys.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but I also I like I said, coming from the MXC background as well, and seeing a token that is useless, alive and doing okay because of staking, I'm just such an advocate of this. I think the biggest thing is going to happen, I think, is HNT is going to get very scarce.
Okay, so we got two questions in the chat about that.
There's going to be a lot of tokens.
Let's see. So Ed's question is, it's worth it to discuss utility of HNT post-migration. So what are people going to use it for? Staking, burning to DC. I mean, the only thing I'll use it for, Ed, is burning to DC just to keep my sensors going. I'm not sure what other people use it for. So do you guys have any plans for HNT? Or are you going to be like,
obviously.
Go ahead.
I mean, obviously, mobile and IoT will be swapped out for it in the wallet, which will be super convenient.
Yep.
Yeah. Even when it comes to DC, I haven't been using my HNT for it.
You don't need
partly
that
because,
much.
$10 on the credit card, done.
Yeah.
Just keep topping it up. But as things grow, I may look at recirculating some HNT back into that. But at this point, it's just as easy to throw it on the credit card. It depends on what's going to change with the migration from consoles to chirp stacks and who's going to be holding my sensors at that point. But that's a next month problem.
Yeah. It's like I'll let these guys navigate this shit show, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do. All right, so Siegfried's coming back. Siegfried's coming back with details. You lock up for 48 months. You get 100 VEHNT per HNT. The remaining duration, it stays locked until you initiate a cooldown, and then the clock starts ticking for VEHNT decay. Okay. Huh. Are you going to, Bobby, are you going to stake to mobile or IoT or unknown? Or did you tell me that and I missed it?
No, originally I'm going to stake H&T, my whole bag of H&T, as I said. It'll all be staked, everything I got. And I'll see, I'm waiting to hear what's going to happen with the mobile and IoT staking. How that'll, I don't think it's been exactly drawn out exactly as it'll be.
Okay.
But there will be staking for both, from what I understand.
Okay. And you can keep it indefinitely. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Siegfried's agreeing with you. Good.
And I'm letting it all ride on IoT. I'm up in Canada, so I don't have any 5G. I have some mobile token. Some people have gifted me some along the way.
Yeah.
But I'm in it for these guys. So
I like it.
I'm actually pretty big into the 5G, and I was hoping we could even discuss, because I think there's so much to talk about with the future of the Wi-Fi network.
Sure.
I mean, that's going to be a game changer. In my...
Wi-Fi will be huge. Before we hit that, let's finish off with this Siegfried stuff from the VH and THNT locking. All right, what's he saying smart people do? Because I'll just do that. That way I don't have to be smart. I rely on someone else that's smart. Won't redeem mobile IoT for HNT because exchange rates for some time will get better. It's better to wait so that lots of HNT can stay in the treasury. I mean, I think the intent here is to make sure to incentivize people not to sell their HNT, which I'm going to do anyway. I'm not selling it unless it goes bananas. I mean, if it goes to 50 or 60, I don't think there's any amount of incentive that will stop people from selling a big chunk, because we've seen that once and missed the boat. So
I think one of the biggest things, though, Nick, that's so helpful to so many people, including myself, is having the in-wallet staking. I think people get nervous when they have to go on exchanges and go to different programs and go to platforms to figure out how to stake. If like you said, a lot of people are new to crypto.
Yeah.
If you're new to crypto, you may not be comfortable going over to some new platform and putting your HNT out there.
Yeah.
But if they can have in-wallet staking that's convenient, that'll be a big help.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Well, and it goes back to the keep it in your wallet. You have the keys; it's yours. The minute you put it somewhere else, whether it's a central exchange or an exchange's staking service, even the partial staking services, you were giving it to somebody else and saying, "Please, give it back to me when I want it back."
I love that money changer in Lebanon or whatever, because you use those. Those are always the sketchiest people. It's like, oh man, this will probably go sideways. 80% chance it'll go sideways. Let's see. So some people are going to sell HNT no matter what. I don't understand why anyone would sell HNT, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It certainly must be happening because it's going down. So
I wanted to make a comment on that. That's always a way for me to spot gamers on the network. I think that should be used. Every gamer I've ever seen, their token. You never see a gamer with a bunch and they holding their tokens. They're always selling them.
Yep. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yep. I mean, it makes sense because you don't want any chance it'll get frozen, even though that can't really happen as far as we know. The comment stuff is blown up. So Hack and Bobby, you guys can see the YouTube stream. It will be delayed, I think.
Yeah.
You just have to.
It's not too bad, but it's small print. I tried to zoom in on it and it wouldn't let me. So.
Okay. Let's see. And then there's this question about, and I'll see if I can make this bigger so we can read it. Nope. If IoT and mobile get listed, what'll happen to HNT and what the prices of those will be. So yeah, interesting stuff. I mean, I think all this stuff is like, I'm gonna keep doing sensors and let this price stuff sort itself out, but I may be wrong on that.
Well, and to that point, that's sort of where I went last year. Is
Yeah.
if you got into Helium for the monthly recurring revenue, it's not going to be in your hotspots earnings. Your monthly
Right.
recurring revenue is going to be in taking this sensor and installing it somewhere and charging $5 a month for it.
Yep. Yep. Totally. Yeah. And good God, I am awash in sensors right now. I wrote all these companies last month. I'm like, hey, send me some stuff. I'll do, basically I'm exploring the network and sharing it. And it's like, damn, my room is filling up with sensors.
One of the things I'm a big believer in, Hack and I spoke about this when we saw each other at Helium House, is I think there's got to be a hip for forcing people to use sensors. I'm a big believer in forced compliance early on, meaning that like I see these hotspots earning a token a day, 2 tokens a day, and they haven't moved data in 6 months.
Right.
Like that's ridiculous. Like you should be capped out. If you're not going to move, like I think a lot of top earning hotspots would go get sensors and put them in if they knew they would be penalized.
For not
And a
having,
lot of
yeah.
times,
Huh.
it's like I'll give you an analogy.
Yeah.
Henry Ford, before he made his Model T, said that if he asked the world what they needed before he built the first automobile, that they would have said faster cars. I'm sorry, faster horses.
Right. Right.
They wouldn't have thought outside the box. So sometimes you got to force people to say, "Hey, look, it's over here. This is what needs to be done."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I rely on smarter people to kind of make those calls and like, oh, we all do what we can. We kind of put our shoulder to the wheel.
Early on in 2019, I believe hotspots actually came with a sensor.
Yeah,
Very, very
619
early.
is saying Seed was the only one who did it. They sold sensors with hotspots. But man, forcing people to do something, I think you got to be really careful with that. I'll see if Max gets on here. He's usually got some good stuff to say because Max and I had talked about doing some kind of thing where you incentivize the use of sensors, but it was for a long-term play in the same way that Helium basically dropped the global market price on gateways. Before Helium came along, it was $1,000 for a LoRa gateway. Now you can get one for $100 because they sold so many.
Yeah.
And the same kind of thing for sensors. Right now, whatever this tabs thing from Broen, this is a little what is this thing? An indoor air quality thing. I'm not sure what they cost. I'm gonna guess it's like $70. But you start making 1 million or 6 million of those, and that cost can get down way cheaper, and that just makes it more accessible to more people. And I think that's where we need to go. Okay.
Well, I've always said you can get into a sensor for $20. It's not complicated to get into it, whether it's a basic water sensor or a door sensor. You bump up to $50 and you get a nice quality temp sensor.
Yep.
The applications are endless. I got this entire building, wired up
Censored
with
up.
everything from water sensors in the basement to door sensors on the roof, even water sensors on the roof because it's a flat roof.
Yeah.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
But what's Neil's nugget of wisdom here?
Let's see. It could be gamed if you paid for the amount of data. Yeah, I think that's your thing. Is there's always these gaming vectors that open up when you try and force something to happen that's kind of unnatural. Is some smart dude will come along or some smart girl will come along and be like, oh, well, there's a cool little attack surface there that no one's paying attention to. I want to like borrow into that. So yeah,
I'm always a fan though of not letting, like we're dealing with that a lot in the 5G community.
Yep.
About people hearing gaming, and I'm always like, you know what? Let's not let that hold us back from progress. If there's a gamer, I got to say this network's impressive with how many eyes are on hotspots.
Yep.
Meaning, if somebody starts earning 5 HNT a day, people notice, and they get turned in pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, we had that guy over in London running insane amounts of data through his hotspots. He's been
Yep.
shut down.
Yeah. Let's see. The chat's blown up. All right. So people are saying increase. Nobody like comments on my stuff all the time, and used to be. If I remember right, if it's the same person, used to be super negative, and is now like, contributing useful content. So it's cool. Increase the DC cost. Sensor data shouldn't cost $1 a year. I don't know if it costs $1 a year. I don't know if I agree with that. I think like that's the fundamental offering, right? Is it's cheap.
Well, and that's the thing is, have we set ourselves at too far below the market competitor just to draw attention to it? Now you got to figure out how do you crawl back up.
Yeah.
The computer industry went through this back in the late 90s and early 2000s,
Yep.
where it was, basically trying to sell for $1 over cost. It just got stupid.
It's a good time to be buying.
Well, exactly. But have we positioned ourselves now where if we want to increase the incentive to move data, that the only way to do that is to turn around and set a higher cost to the customer. So as a sensor, service provider, I'm sitting there going, $5 a month and I'll cover the data. Well, my actual cost on that, I think it worked out to be a $1.25 a year for 10-minute interval, and not much more to go to 5-minute interval. That's ridiculously cheap.
It's crazy. Yeah, and I see like the comments are going fucking crazy right now. These people all saying like everybody's saying it's too cheap, and I don't think it is, but I'm not an economist, so maybe I'm totally wrong with that.
People are always going to want things faster and cheaper. That's never going to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've started at the bottom and got nowhere to go but up. So that's the struggle we'll have, is trying to incentivize a mechanism to bring the cost of DC up. Yeah.
And I wonder if we're going to see, Travis, I don't think everybody remembers this, the AOL CD throne. But it's like, if CDs are so cheap, they built a throne out of it, if I remember this one right. Yeah. It's like, I don't know what we're going to do with data credits, but...
I had a coworker who plastered a 9x10 office with AOL CDs. So
amazing.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah. All right, Bobby. So you're here. Let's do the Wi-Fi combo. I see a ton of stuff about cost and getting DC. I think we've done enough of that. Let's talk about Wi-Fi, dude.
Wi-Fi is going to be amazing, and I'll tell you. I mean, I'm hoping for it. If things are done right, this could be just phenomenal. One of the main things about Wi-Fi, I call it the Wild West. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because, and you know this, Nick, and you could probably relate to this. If I put 3 5G radios on my roof, via cell radios, I could have neighbors complaining and be like, hey, dude, why are you pointing that at my house? 5G, cancer, blah, blah, blah. No one's going to say that with Wi-Fi. There are no laws with Wi-Fi. No one's ever gotten in trouble for amping up their Wi-Fi signal. It's just an open spectrum that's illegal and the same throughout the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same frequency worldwide. It's dirt cheap to produce. I mean, I don't want to go too far, but it's much cheaper, and there's so many less restrictions. If you know anything about the 5G, we deal with SAS. We lose spectrum. We lose core status. Radios are, flipping on and off. And the big dogs, Verizon, AT&T, they deal with the same thing. But if we can mingle a Wi-Fi with this 5G and handshake, this could really be something. The advantage with the 5G is that you get much better range. Wi-Fi can't put out quite the range that the CBRS can.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But it's not it's not like way more. I guess it is way more if you get it like everything right.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not crazy, but it's definitely more range. But the Wi-Fi network is going to
like the same frequency worldwide. Is that right?
What?
Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi generally is
2.4 and 5G.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 6 point and now the new 6E, and now they're coming into the 7. They're going to have Wi-Fi 7, which will be the bottom end, like up to 7.125. That'll be the top end of Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah. They are trying to grab some extra spectrum. I look at it from a serviceability aspect, because I have the luxury of being in North America, and I can tell you that the coffee shop downstairs has Wi-Fi. There used to be a free downtown Wi-Fi. We had a false alarm fire several years ago in the building, and we ended up taking everybody over to City Hall and using their Wi-Fi. It's plentiful and it's accessible. It's not secure, and that's a huge differentiator. That smart people won't use it because of man-in-the-middle risks. And if you had a Wi-Fi that was trustable, and that's what I think is going to differentiate a Wi-Fi service that people will want to use, is we need to have the trust reputation to go along with it.
Interesting, because crypto has like both trust and non-trust connotations, right?
Yeah. Those pineapples scare people.
Yeah. Last year I was over in Scotland for vacation, and no Wi-Fi in a pub, and I made the mistake. I chose UK3 for my carrier while I was there, and bought a SIM card, and no coverage in the pub, so I was literally cut off.
Yep.
So a Wi-Fi service that is global, accessible, single point of entry through the Helium network, I think is very viable and very marketable.
Oh, interesting.
Again, it's going to come down to the trust factor. Is can you build it with a layer of trust?
Huh. I haven't thought a ton about Wi-Fi. I never understood why it would be compelling, but I guess with the security side, that does make it compelling. If it's like, all right, if I know everywhere I go, I don't need to worry about starting up a VPN and dealing with that crap. That might be nicer.
Another big thing we have is that on the 5G side, we're competing with all the mobile companies. For Wi-Fi, as far as I see, there's a few small ones, but Boingo is the major competitor, and
sucks so bad.
they're not even that great. So there's a lot. I always had this dream, and I'll say this, and I've run it by friends of my MIT friends all the time. My dream was always that we could one day push Wi-Fi through our 915 hotspots and compress it. It's very difficult to do. It takes a lot of compression.
Okay.
If people were around back in the late 90s, there were actually 900 megahertz Wi-Fi routers, early 2000s.
Huh. I bet Travis knows about those, but I've never heard of them.
Yes, they actually were around for a short period of time.
Okay.
But can you imagine that world? If we could actually push Wi-Fi through all the active hotspots now?
I'm seeing a lot of comments here about differences nationally, and I'm going to say at least start with your 2.4. There is differences in the fact that there's only, I think, 13 channels in North America, and I think it's 15 in other parts, but the 1 through 13 channels are supposed to be the same frequencies, because I don't have to change my hardware on my phone if I want to connect to a Wi-Fi on the other side of the world.
Yep.
I may just get different channel options. I haven't looked as closely at the 5 gigahertz, but I'm pretty confident that, again, it's just which channels are available in which regions.
Well, if you notice, if you ever buy a router, you'll never see like U.S., North America. They're not labeled like that.
Right.
Because they don't have to.
That's rad. People are still going back and forth on DC and console. DC prices and console prices. I guess that we kicked off a good combo there. All right.
Speaking of that, Nick, I just wanted to make one quick comment.
Yeah.
I always was bothered, and I would love to find a way around it. The fact that you need to pay 55 cents in data credit to put your height and your antenna in, and I always felt that you shouldn't charge people, to be honest. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, because so many people don't put it in. They don't put their height in on the API because they don't want to pay the 55 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I looked at it differently. I was just like, well, it's only 55 cents. Why would I not put it in to help the network? But that's only one way of looking at it. It's not necessarily the correct way. Yeah. And I think, better keep my mouth pretty shut about this one, but I'm pretty sure there's a project out there that's going to help fix that. And that's all I got about that one.
Yes, I know where you're going with that.
Let's see. Like catching up on the chat here. Jason Williams, a single supplier for Wi-Fi, so roaming between nodes would be good. Yep. All right, we hit that. Okay, I think this Liam question, doesn't Wi-Fi come down to the same issues as deeper? You're responsible for the data passing through your connection, at least in the UK. So that, I guess what you're saying, Liam, is if I run a Helium Wi-Fi, which doesn't exist yet, hotspot at my company Paleo Treats, and someone sits outside and whatever, browses kitty porn or figures out some horrible thing to do, I'm on the hook for the data they look at. That doesn't sound right, but that's the point, right?
It is a real issue that I've talked about back when we first started looking at the VPN options as well as Wi-Fi, and it comes down to where's the exit point. If the exit point is at my modem onto my ISP that's now saying go to weirdstuff.xxx,
yep.
Then that's on me and reflects on me as the owner of that gateway. If it's a cloud termination point, that is run and managed by some entity on the Helium network, pseudo validator type
Yep.
kind of thing, then it's on them. Because then I'm just moving, hopefully, encrypted packets through the
them.
Wi-Fi
Yep.
onto the internet to the termination point, and from that termination point, it then is resolving to weirdstuff.xxx.
Got it. So it's kind of like the rental car company is not on the hook when the bank robbers rent a car and rob a bank. They're not on the hook for robbing the bank. Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing a bunch of this stuff from this Bowser Bikes guy. Bowser, I don't think I've seen you before, but he's saying, I think he's talking about Wi-Fi. Comcast is a competitor. And I think, how do you say that? Is that how the millennials say stuff? They always end with a question, or the Australians? Comcast is a competitor now. I'm not sure how that goes through.
Is he talking about the free? Because I know like Comcast, Altice, Optimum have put some free hotspots in, but they're emergency hotspots and they're free for anyone to use, but they're only 60 minutes. You get kicked off.
Okay. Oh, so I think the
Yeah.
point is, part of it is there's too late, and then there's this other part from 609 that ISPs are providing citywide Wi-Fi. So let's talk about those two things. The ISPs providing citywide Wi-Fi that is, as far as I can tell, not super secure. Probably pretty easily to spoof, so I just wouldn't trust that as much as I trust Helium, but maybe that's just me. And then the other thing is, do you think we're too late for Wi-Fi? I don't think so, but at least if it's a different offering.
Yeah, it comes back to the reputation and trustability. There was a downtown Wi-Fi here for a while. It was a partnership between a business development organization, an IT guy, and a couple of businesses that were like, yeah, I'll donate bandwidth.
Yep.
There was no central responsibility of security.
Right.
And I think that's what, when it comes to the Comcast and so on, I know on the American side, if you are a Comcast subscriber, you're allowed to use their Wi-Fi when you find it.
But their Wi-Fi, this is the crazy thing, is it's my Wi-Fi. If I have a Comcast box, unless you uncheck, the little box in the thing, they're like, oh yeah, we can use your box for providing public Wi-Fi. It's the cheekiest thing.
And in some of those situations, they are like that, and I'm not a fan of those. I think that's in the same sort of consumer awareness around Apple AirTags. It's crowdsourcing through ignorance.
Yeah, totally. Don't you go hating on Apple on my show. I love Apple. Let's see.
I also hope that this brings us to the VPN network. We could speak about it maybe at the end.
Yeah.
Because I think that'll be another. I don't think it'll be as big as the Wi-Fi, but it'll be another nice piece of the flywheel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then this Bowser Bikes comment, dude. I think you're totally right here. I don't like it, but I think you're right. Is that most people would trust AT&T over a crypto company if they didn't know any better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think that's going to be something where Helium probably has to put, or Helium Foundation or Mobile, whoever decides to take responsibility for it is going to have to put some significant effort into building trust outside of this crazy crypto world.
But let's think about another thing, Nick. We're thinking about this in 2023. In 2027, 2028, people could possibly have a lot more trust in crypto.
Possibly, yeah. I think that's a long.
I don't think crypto is going away. Let's put it this way. I don't think it's going away.
No. I think you're right there.
It's only going to get more. It's going to, I look at crypto as being almost identical to the internet in the 1990s. If I can remember, like I had generations of my family that were like, I'm not touching that. That thing's crazy. I'm never using it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now you have 75-year-old people. You have to use the internet. And I think we're slowly reaching the tipping point where there'll be nobody left on Earth that hasn't used the internet.
We're going to get there.
If you can remember, right? In the 90s, a lot of people didn't use it.
Yeah.
And I think crypto is going to be the same way. Just my opinion.
That's interesting. Yeah. No, I think it's reasonable to think you're right, although I bet it doesn't always get called crypto. I bet the name will change before people can take it on board because crypto is just like too edgy.
The biggest thing,
it has a stigma, yeah.
The biggest thing that crypto offers, though, and I've also stated this, I believe that crypto will eventually become the new stock market. The way crypto is now, is the way the stock market was like in the 1890s, 1900s. It was a freak show.
Yeah.
People were insider trading, crazy things going on,
Yeah.
stocks collapsing, but slowly, eventually, things get corralled, everything gets fine tuned, and eventually it works, and it works consistently, and it works well. That's how things are. It's, you gotta remember, Bitcoin started in 2009. We're in 2023. This is not going away.
Yeah.
We live in a digital world. Why not have digital currency? And the biggest thing I see is that I see new companies going the route of offering a crypto versus offering a stock, an IPO,
Yeah.
because it's easier and it's cheaper.
Yeah, although I'm sure that at least the U.S. government will button that up as fast as they can. Working very hard on that. Let's see. So we'll go down this road just a little bit because it's like a fun road, but it's also, you got to be super careful of the FUD side. If the economy tanks, people do anything to survive. I think there's a reasonable argument to be made that, hey, if the economy tanks, crypto will actually get a lot stronger because
Definitely.
it is the option, or it is an additional option. So.
Well, and I think in recent events we've seen that there was I will acknowledge the existence of it, and I will then also discredit it. An article published in Wired magazine, wired.co.uk specifically, about the fall of helium in Lebanon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it's an economy that is so beat down that they turned to helium because it was the magic money printing box
Yep.
of passive incomes,
Yep.
and they went whole hog into it. There's a lot of good coverage. There's a lot of gaming there,
Yep.
and now they're saying that they're just totally disenfranchised with it, because it didn't save their economy.
Yeah. And I got that. I mean, we should probably talk about that article a little bit, and then Bobby will do the VPN stuff. So that article came out with a bunch of, I think the word is egregious errors. It's always nice when you get to use a fancy word, but like basically the guy hadn't done any research and wanted like a hit piece called Helium Hotspots, Wi-Fi Hotspots. So I think the thing there that was weird was how are we talking to a man in the street in Lebanon? I mean, anywhere, but especially there, who's like, oh yeah, I think he said I put 1,000 hotspots in play. It's like, that's not the man in the street. Not even in the richest country in the world, let alone Lebanon, which is not the richest country in the world. So it was pretty interesting. Like, who were you talking to? Where are you getting your sources from? Was this one of the gamers and now he's just pissed and so he hired someone to help him write a hit piece? Like, that was kind of the takeaway I had there.
Well, and it was his one and only piece published on Wired too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, God bless him.
I was hoping to drop this into. I've always, and this is just a roundabout thing. I was petitioning for this year, and hopefully, I would love to see it next year, and I'd love to see everybody, cough up, a token or some H&T.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see Helium put together a Super Bowl commercial.
You've been on the Super Bowl thing for 2 years, Bobby. Dude,
I think people need to see, because
we should call you Super Bowl Bobby. You should put together a sub-DAO for the Super Bowl ad. I would love to see that.
I mean, obviously right now things have been beaten down, the whole market's down, but I think people need to, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I have friends that are, and they're like, oh, I never heard of it. I'm like, how could, I feel like we need to get out there more. We need to get our sensors out. We need to be seen more. We need to be, I mean, this is a wonderful crowdsourcing idea. I mean, we're the original one. Demo, Hive Mapper, whether they've all copied. They've all taken the ball and running.
Yeah.
And we need to market a little better. That's one of the improvements we could do.
I'm with you on that.
I won't disagree, but I want to push it in a different direction, and that's because Hive Mapper and Demo have turned it into a service, turned it into a product. So instead of promoting the hammer, let's promote the house. I want to see more IoT. I want to see IoT become a common word in average homes, and that's where I think we need to really push it. Is how are we going to promote the use of it, not just the existence of it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's critical. I mean, just brainstorming on that for a bit. I think what we're going to see in the coming months is we're going to start to see companies. Remember IoT Off Grid? Those guys, I think they're on the East Coast, and they started building kits for off-grid hotspots. and basically taking something that was like semi-complicated, a little bit DIY. Like if you liked that shit and you had a garage, super fun. If you didn't, you felt like you were missing out. And so they're like, oh yeah, we'll just service that market. They built these kits that allowed you to put your hotspot on a box and put it off grid, so to sell modem, solar panel, battery, all that stuff. I think we're going to see the same kind of thing for sensor kits. There's going to be like a Helium house kit where it's like, hey, here's how, and I think, Bobby, to your point about marketing, whoever does this is going to have to tell people how to use it. Put this door open close thing on your front door so you know when your front door is open. Put this window open close sensor here so you know when the window's open. Put this AC unit or this energy monitoring thing on your AC unit so you know when things goes off. Peter, like put this water leak sensor thing wherever it is. So I think we're going to have to see that for those sensor packs to come in, but that's how it's going to happen.
Well, and they do exist, just not specifically in the Helium ecosystem. There's a YouTube channel that I watch of a cooking show, and he's regularly promoting this. It's basically IoT tech, but it's an alarm system in a box.
Yep.
And it's got a central hub, and it's got little door sensors that are exactly the same door sensor that I've got in my house.
Yep.
And it's just somebody has turned around and packaged it into a kit with IKEA-like pictures of instructions to put this here, and join it to your base station, and selling that as a again MRR, monthly recurring service.
Yep.
That kind of stuff built on Helium would be awesome.
Yeah, and I think there's like little stuff. No, sorry, Bobby, you had something to say. What was it?
Yes. Have you guys heard about the new spectrum for this year for IoT? The relays. They're going to open up relays.
I did. What is it?
Not
Tell me
heard
about it.
Okay. Well, what's going to happen is, let's say you have hotspots in a desolate area. If one of the hotspots loses internet, right, and another hotspot sends information to it, or a sensor sends information to it, let's say, that antenna and the hotspot will hold it, and it'll grab onto it and say, I got that information, can't process it, and send it to another one. So it'll work like a relay. So if one of the hotspots loses internet service, it'll be able to pass that on to another hotspot.
That's coming in it's coming in at the protocol level with LoRaWAN, and it's designed, but I don't think anybody's actually put it into implementation. And it mimics a lot of the behavior that you will find in Z-Wave S2 and Zigbee, where it does mesh-like behavior, but multi-hop to get to a working gateway.
Okay.
When you say multi-hop, you're bringing me back to IO5 hack. Oh, jeez. Oh, they had all the catchphrases. Hilarious.
Let's see. ML off-road. I haven't seen in a while. IoT is a security swear word. So I think this is an interesting comment. Is that for us, IoT is like super fun if you're in the Helium world. But I think for IT professionals, if I'm understanding this correctly, they're like, dude, I'm not letting this thing anywhere near my network because all this stuff is hacked by various XYZ entities.
It has been, and it's you go back to some of the first products put out with the IoT label, and you get the nanny cams that were hacked, you get the thermostats that are hacked, and Hollywood has sensationalized that as well. I would argue that a modern day Z-Wave S2 protocol is just as secure as any professional IT network, and it comes down to building smart. I've got a smart home, and I am what they call cloudless. The only thing that actually talks to the internet is my Google Home. And yes, I've sold my soul to the Google gods. So it's just a matter of building smart. Yeah. But yes,
let's face it.
It is a trigger word, the same as crypto is a trigger word.
Yeah.
IoT though offers something that is magical in the fact that if the power goes out or if a house loses internet, all that ring stuff, these alarm systems, ring stuff becomes garbage.
Yep.
If there's a natural disaster, something happens, IoT can still work in pretty terrible conditions. I can tell you, can you imagine if we had IoT like back in a place like where Katrina happened or some of these horrible hurricanes?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm amazed at the penetration power of IoT, where sensors can talk to hotspots from.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done some wild things with them. I've put them in like basement safes that are like,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just unbelievable.
That's what Miroslav over at Heliotics was talking about a while ago. He's like, dude, we put these in, what are they, like underground storage tanks? Who knows what they're measuring, diesel fuel underground or something.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, the owners are like, holy shit, I didn't know we could get coverage there.
See, that's actually one of the
As long
areas
as
I'm pushing is back in Long Island, where my family's from, just outside New York City. Millions of cesspools, and it's a major problem with cesspools. You know, people got to get them pumped. You
Yep.
find out your cesspool's filled on Christmas morning, and a cesspool's in a spot where Wi-Fi doesn't reach.
Yeah.
It's usually 20 feet off the house, underground. Wi-Fi has a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Put an IoT, IoT sensor in there.
Yeah.
Like a float, and
Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
know days before that. Hey, listen, get somebody here.
Fucking shitter's full.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Even in porta potties.
Yeah.
Even in
Yeah. Oh,
porta
dude,
potties.
Exactly.
I've been on this porta potty thing, which is hilarious. But it's like there's such a big business there.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. With that
Yeah.
stuff.
it really will come down to, I love, Bobby's point there, but what we need to get rid of, and I've been harping on this for a while, is we need to get rid of the window warriors, because I've got a famous chain restaurant here in town where I put half a dozen sensors in their kitchen.
Uh-huh.
According to Explorer, there should be 6 hotspots that have coverage there.
Yep.
Not a single one of them could pick it up. I had to go put a data only in their office
And it picked it up.
because I couldn't get signal
What do you call
out of the
window
building.
warriors?
Because they're literally just buying the hotspot and going, "There's my setup. I'm done."
Oh, okay.
We call them lazy setups, but yeah,
Okay.
that's,
Window warriors. I like that. We should do a sticker for that.
I like that though. Window War is great.
Yeah. Let's say, yeah. I think once you get going on this, like, what can you use IoT for? It just becomes endless. Like trash cans, porta potties. Never mind lost dogs, sewer overflows, whether or not your fridge is leaking, whether or not you left the gas on, whether or not your AC is right. It's just like this endless amount of things that we can know.
How about drones?
Yeah.
How about drones? Right? They're going to need to use something to communicate, or they're going to need to be accounted for.
Yep.
And that could be like I've told some of my customers and people with Community-Fi when I'm working with them.
Yep.
I'll say probably the best and most solid and most prosperous idea for IoT has not come out yet.
Yeah. Yep.
I bet we're
I'm
going
with
to
you.
find something in Fiverr that's just going to blow people's minds.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like this stuff is what we need. This I don't know if this is the nobody nothing, the same guy as nobody, probably different. But just like, yeah, if you got time this weekend, put in a sensor. And I think, Hack, to your earlier point, like most of the intro sensors are not that expensive. I've been talking to a bunch of companies where some of their sensors are pretty expensive. There's one called Sensoterra that's a big like soil stake, and you can hammer it into the ground and it tells you the soil temp and acidity and a bunch of bullshit at different levels. That thing's like $700. But most of the sensors that I've got in my little office here, probably under $100, maybe some of them are 150. The Senzemo which is a super rad sensor, super nice looking. Had a call with them on the Gristle crew the other day. I'll bring them onto the State of the Network soon. I think that's $150 for their sensor, but like they're all, you can buy one of them, and there's certainly sensors for $20.
Yeah. Yeah, you can start at 20 and go up from there. There's no doubt about that. You can build a mapper, is another thing. I'd love to see more people building mappers. Just because it helps validate and verify, useful coverage. I've got one in my wife's Jeep. I keep one in my laptop bag, wherever I go. If everybody went and set up a sensor, I think,
Big help.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's that one sensor. That's the deal. All you need is one. And I think it's one of those things, Bobby, where hopefully people just get excited about it and buy the sensor. They bought the hotspot for $400, buy a sensor for $20. Try it out.
You know what it reminds me of? I remember years ago when I was working for an alarm company, putting in alarm keypads and sometimes we do thermostats and different things. And I remember when the touchscreens came out, And I'm like, no, don't touch the screen. You're not supposed to touch the screen. As a kid, you don't touch the TV screen. You know,
Yep.
you
Yep.
put fingerprints on it. I want the touchpad. It took a while to get used to this concept that we
Yeah.
have to touch the screen.
Yeah.
They're made for that. Like
Yeah.
people need. Why I'm a big believer in this kind of forcing people's hands a little bit. People need to kind of like be pushed along.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see it.
And the reality is, there are people. I'm going to call them out because I'm hopefully going to get them to come to Toronto for me. But Ziv, who literally is like 30 minutes down the highway from me, got into Helium, got a hotspot, figured, I'm going to buy a sensor and set it up. He's a master plumber. Now he's, integrating Helium sensors into his business model as a value-added service. You just get,
such a good
get
idea.
exposure to it, and then all of a sudden your brain will just go, oh, hang on, I could do, and the ideas will just start flowing.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good idea, because my neighbor's a plumber, and I was just like, oh shit, I just got these water leak sensors in. I should just show him these and be like, hey dude, you want to start putting them in? Because that's such a smart thing. It's like now he gets an extra $5 a month per sensor. That dude's putting in who knows how many toilets or whatever it is a day.
Before we sign off, Nick, I didn't want us to forget. I wanted to touch on the VPN real quick.
Let's do it.
And
we got a couple minutes.
Okay. Before I get into that, I just want to say, the reason I'm excited about this stuff is that when you look at all these other crypto projects and Web3 projects, none of them have the stuff in the pipeline that Helium does. I mean, Helium has a lot of stuff in the pipeline. I mean, this VPN thing, I looked at it, I'm like, my first thought was, I don't get it. How dumb. It doesn't make sense. I don't really use a VPN. My internet's pretty secure. And then when I did some investigating and looked deeper into it, I realized that there's a lot of people that use them, and there's a lot of people that use them for things like watching sports. They might, let's say I'm living in Boston and I want to watch the Yankees and get the Yankees feed. Well, I can move my VPN. But here's the amazing thing, is that most VPNs, like I think there's an Express VPN, there's a bunch of, you can see them all over. You get about two choices, right? You can either go to Colorado or you can go to New Hampshire. That's it, in North America. If Helium gets into this, you'll get choices all over the United States. So if I want to go to Tallahassee, Florida, and watch a Florida State football game, right, or or Gainesville, I can actually tap in there and get that feed. So it'll open up a lot of possibilities for things that a lot of people don't think about with a VPN network. My only concern on my last note is I don't know if I want to see a token come out, like a Wi-Fi token, a VPN token. I'm not a fan of too many tokens. I'd rather see people make less and HNT get scarcer.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah. I'd rather see bottlenecking on HNT than see 200 million IoT tokens and 200 million Wi-Fi token, or 200 billion. I'm sorry, it's 200 billion number, and another 200 billion VPN token. It becomes too much. I think bottlenecking it all down and pushing that price of HNT, even if we all make less, but our tokens are worth more. That's what's going to make it go, in my opinion.
I think it's I don't know enough about that. I think as long as it's easy to use, I don't mind if it's across a couple of them. And like, maybe I'll get crucified for this, but like, how many wireless networks are there? There's probably only like 6 that people use in their everyday life. There's Wi-Fi, there's your phone, there's CBRS if we want to count that as different. There's this VPN thing. Like, there's not that many. I think that it would get so confusing, but yeah.
But on a final note, I wanted to say that I'm often out at people's houses trying to push through Community Fi and through my own selling of sensors and explaining to them. And when they ask me about Helium, the best way I can explain it, and you use a different term, Nick, is Helium's kind of like an early Amazon. They're creating this platform. Most of the stuff on Amazon, they didn't make it. People bring it there and sell it. And that's what it is. It's a platform for people to bring ideas to. Just like eBay, right? They just provide the platform. They don't sell stuff.
Yeah. That's a good way to think of it.
That is so on point. Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good place to wrap it up. Thank you guys for coming on. That was awesome. Super good to get to talk through that stuff. Bobby, was there anything? I know you want to talk about a ton of stuff. I think we covered most of the stuff that you were trying to hit. Was there anything that we missed?
No, I think we got it all.
Okay. Ripping. Hack, thanks for coming on and helping me through some of that stuff.
Not a problem. Cool. I'm going to do one plug, and that is Keenan and I are working on a Toronto meetup. So stay tuned on Discord. We'll have details soon. But yeah, we're trying to do a little more sort of localized get together in the Toronto area. So if you're within a comfortable travel of Toronto, keep in touch.
And Toronto is a small city north of the Arctic Circle, right? That's my Canadian geography.
Yeah, yeah, just a little town.
Yeah, just a small thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this afternoon, or this evening, if you're in the San Francisco area, we're going to be doing a DPIN, Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network meetup at Cavagna, which you can find at cavagna.sf.com. 6 to 9 p.m. All the different DPIN projects are going to be there: HiveMapper, GeoNet, Helium, IoTex. Yeah, a bunch of cool kind of get together. So let's see. Neil's asking, can you pay to fly a special guest out to Toronto? Huh. Who might that special guest be? Huh?
Oh, come on, Neil. I went down to New York.
Guy, you're getting requests. We got more Bobby.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
It's been a blast. Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah,
Been
ripping.
wonderful.
All right, guys.
Thank you. All right, we
Thanks,
sign
guys.
up. Great to see
Yep.
you guys. It was a pleasure. Take care.
Ciao, ciao.